all get together and let's, as citizens, let's see what we can do about this situation.
Now, hey, Judith, I got to take a break. We're going to be back in 2.5 minutes, so don't hang up. I'm going to put you on mute. We'll be back in 2.5 minutes. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark, and we'll be back in 2.5 minutes.
It's a break.
Não perde tempo escolhendo a roupa, porque no fim eu sei que vou tirar. Fala tchau pro seu batom na boca e fala oi pra quem te faz pirar. Se você já tá com a mesma sensação, pode vir, gente, que eu tô um vulcão. Tá descontrolada toda essa tara e não para porque a coisa ficou mara. Vou te ganhar no cansaço, no cansaço, no cansaço. Vamos fazer um regaço, um regaço, um regaço. Colar em altos amassos, amassos, amassos. Vamos fazer um regaço, um regaço, um regaço. Rafa Gomes, digam no beat. Não perde tempo escolhendo a roupa, porque no fim eu sei que vou tirar. Fala tchau pro seu batom na boca e fala oi pra quem te faz pirar. Se você já tá com a mesma sensação, pode vir, que eu tô um vulcão. Tá descontrolada toda essa tara e não para porque a coisa ficou mara.
If you would like to hear Night Dreams Talk Radio on your local radio station, let them know. Tell them to check out www.nightdreamstalkradio.com and thank you.
Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark wants to give a big shout out to all the truckers that listen to our show. Coming to you from some far point station, like a cosmic tumbleweed, both north and south of the Pleiades. Here's your host, Gary Anderson.
Boy, just waiting for that thunder to just pass the place. Anyway, we got a great guest tonight. We got Judie Fein on. Are you there?
I am.
Oh, yeah. That's what's really bad. And I feel sorry. The way it is right now in this country, our medical bills are so expensive that the average person can't even afford to go to the hospital. I know people that literally have died because they were so scared to go to the hospital because they knew it was going to cost so much money.
And it was going to cost them. You know, during the break, your 2.5-minute break, you gave a shout-out to the truckers who were listening. And I've often thought when we travel, a lot of times we meet truckers, there are truck stops, and they have like a little community. Sometimes they know each other, they go to the same kind of places, and I just think it's an interesting combination. First of all, they have nobody breathing down their back telling them what to do, but they have an assigned thing. They have to drive from here to here, they have to transport, they have to do whatever they're doing. But they have alone time, they can listen to music, they have quiet time. So it's not constantly stressful. I hope that the laws are better so they're not driving that many hours without stopping. But it's really one of the things you can do for a living, that you're not constantly being abused or being exposed to abuse or ugliness. You listen to whatever you want on the radio, put in some CDs, listen to your music. You drive, you're saying countryside, you know, you're not hemmed in an office, and it's interesting. I hope you interview some truckers on your show just about their life, because when I see them, I made it my business to go into some truck stops and eat there, and just, you know, they're joking around, greeting each other, helping each other, signaling each other from the road when there's something up ahead. I don't know. It doesn't seem like such a bad lifestyle.
No, and they get to travel. You know, I know quite a few of them because, I mean, I get messages. I got a couple of them are like, every day I hear from the same group of them. You know what? They get to travel the whole United States. A lot of them do. Doing their long hauls. And I tell you, they're always telling me that they like the small communities out in Hicksville because the people are so friendly.
The people are so friendly. And I think there's something about that whatever you do for a living, do you have a community in your compound? Do you have, people that care about each other? Do you have that at all?
I have 8 children and a wife.
Do your children live near you? I
have actually, because of economic state of our country, I actually have 4 of them that have moved back home.
Are they helpful to you in your current situation, which is so
terrible? A couple of them are, yeah. It's just like anything. You can have a bunch of puppies, right? And you're going to have some that are really lovable, and then you're going to have a couple of them that, and that's the same way with humans. I have some that are very helpful and caring, and I have a couple that don't really care anything but themselves. And that's normal in society, I guess.
Yeah, but I think that I saw a poll, or the results of a poll or something like that the majority of Americans have not made a new friend in the last 5 years. That means that people are anchored in a small world and not expanding it. Because I don't know what the word friend means, somebody you feel comfortable with or whatever your definition is. But if you're not expanding your world, if you're not meeting new people, if you're not getting new input, then, I don't know, it's a routine. Then you have a life that's a routine. You know what people think. It's kind of comfortable. But you're not expanding. You're not growing. I'm into everything that expands the mind.
It keeps you younger. You know that?
Huh?
Judy, it keeps you younger. I'll tell you this. When I grew up in Seattle, but I grew up back in the late 50s. I was born in 52. But, the late 50s, early 60s was my heyday being young. And I remember that when I was like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, we knew everybody down the block. And we knew on both sides of the street. We knew everybody. And every summer we'd have a barbecue. And my dad was one of the first people to get a TV. And you know what? We would have in our front room probably 20, 30 people on a Friday and a Saturday night. And we were watching TV, and it was, we knew each other. If somebody had a problem, guess what? We went and helped them. I remember a guy's house caught on fire. And you know what? The neighbors helped put the house back together. One guy was trying to build a garage by himself. And then all the neighbors chipped in on a weekend. And, they had a garage, gathering to build it for the guy. People did things like that. Even in the big cities, they don't do that anymore. People don't even know their neighbors. Even where I'm at, I've been here in the countryside, up in a place called Gig Harbor, Washington. It's right down on the peninsula, the Sound, the saltwater. And the thing is, I don't even know my neighbors. I own the property, but I got an easement for my property. I got 2 people living behind me that have to go through my road to get to their houses. I don't even know them.
You don't know. Okay, but this is the hope that instead of this success-driven, selfish way of being, that people start reforming. This is the hope. This is it. You want to know how your children are going to be okay? Because there will be a shift in values. There was a book that came out in the year 2000. It was called Megatrends 2000. And I remember this sentence from the book that the more things get high-tech, the more they're going to get high-touch, meaning human contact. And I think it's going to happen. The pendulum has swung so much in one direction. It's going to happen. People are yearning for connection, for the kind of thing you're describing, for having people who care whether you're okay or not and want to help. And I think it'll swing back that way. And right now it's so terrible that it's okay to abuse people and, insult them and racism is rampant, hatred, just hatred, it'll swing the other way. Or else we're in Edsel, and the same thing that happened to the Edsel is going to happen to us. That's it.
Yeah, it won't exist.
Options.
It won't exist much longer. That's what scares me, because people need to care about their neighbors. If a neighbor, if put it this way, if you got a widow next door and doesn't have a husband and she's up in age, somebody needs to check up on that. But people don't care to know their neighbors anymore. That's the scary part.
But then why? The question is why?
Why don't they care? Because I think because of going back a few generations, it's not the Leave It to Beaver generation anymore. I don't even think there was that generation. But people don't seem to care about other people anymore. They don't care about, other people's health. They don't care about people's feelings. It's changed. I mean, I see it even on doing a talk show. I've been doing radio since 1976. And I've seen some major changes in our society, and it's not like it used to be. So that's what scares me.
Well, you're trying to do something about it. You're talking about it. You're putting energy into it when you're feeling rotten yourself. And that's all you can do. I want to tell you something. About 2 years ago, I was so appalled at Muslim people. I've lived in Arab countries for about 6 years total. And nobody is more hospitable. It's part of who they are. They open up their houses, and they get a very, very bad rap. The percentage of Muslims who are violent or terrorists is so small that the regular Muslim person is like anybody else in the world. So I decided to do something in Santa Fe. And I got friends together, and I said, I want to do an event called Muslim Women Speak. When people speak, you don't hear from the women so much. You hear from the men. So I said, let's do that. So I said, find out where there are Muslim women. Anyway, we got together about 10 Muslim women. One was a doctor, one was a student, one had a food truck, one was a housewife, different things. And I got them together, and I said, look, I'll do some promotion in the media, but we're going to get together and let people meet you for the first time. I would say most of them wore the hijab, the head covering.
Uh-huh.
Some didn't. And I said, I'm going to have the audience, whoever comes, maybe there'll be 3 people that come. I said, I'm going to have the audience, I'm going to give out index cards and pencils and let them write questions. And I will take the questions. If something's insulting, I won't do it, or if something's repetitive, if there are a lot of things, I'll just ask it once. And I'm going to ask the 10 of you questions. You're going to be on stage. And the audience, I'm just going to read you the question. If you want to answer, fine. If you don't. But it's not going to be Q&A, people speechifying, nothing like that. And I said, I said, the climate is so bad for Muslim people in America, I don't know that anybody's going to come. And I arranged to have police there, security, in case anybody got crazy. And it was about an hour before, and they all came together. And I said, really, if nobody comes, I'm sorry. Well, the university here offered us a meeting room that holds, not a meeting room, like an auditorium, that held about 220 people. When there were 400 in and we had turned 200 away, it was a fire hazard, and they were screaming at me, Judy, don't let anybody else in. You can't let anybody else in. And the people were sitting in the audience. The questions were personal, intense, like, why do you wear that head covering? Or, what about the trade center? And, anything was game. Anything was fair game. They could ask anything they wanted. And the women started to answer, and people were sobbing in the audience. They said it was the first time they'd ever met a Muslim person, and these women became like rock stars. I mean, people were just coming and crowding them after and saying, would you like to come to dinner? And it was very, very moving, the audience. And after that, we went and we did it in Albuquerque. Same thing. I mean, just huge numbers of people. And then I said to the women, look, you do this yourselves now. You don't need me anymore. I organized it with you, but now you're on your own. They did 17 events. They were invited to community places and churches and all different kind of places because people had never been in a close encounter with the Muslim women. And these women were great. And they were opinionated. They didn't all agree. But that's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. Just Dream up things you can do. You have a radio show. Dream up things you can do that put a different spin on being a human.